The Cendine Hospitality Cloud is an integrated technology platform driving marketing and sales performance in more than 30,000 hotels around the globe. The award-winning CRM suite integrates with hundreds of technology platforms to capture intent, preferences, past behavior, and satisfaction for every guest. Learn more at Cendine.com. That's CENDYN.com.
Welcome to the Hotel Tech Podcast. This is the show where we tackle your most pressing issues to bring your business more wins. Keeping up with technology is challenging. Our experts are here to help you figure it all out. Here's your hosts, Glenn Houseman and Estella Hale.
Hey everybody, Glenn Houseman here, your co-host of the Hotel Tech Podcast, and I am with Miss Estella Hale, Chief Evangelist at SHR, coming at you from the show floor at HITEC. How are you today?
Doing great. Very excited about everything that we're learning at the show, but also what we're learning with the guests that we have here at the podcast.
I know, and I think you used the keyword learning.
Yes.
We're going to talk a little bit about machine learning, artificial intelligence, data analytics, all sorts of fun stuff with Kelly McGuire. She's an author and analytics evangelist, and I got to say, I got two evangelists at this table.
I think we're over our quota, but this will be fun. What insights will we get to with this many evangelists?
Yes, I know. I was hoping to be an evangelist myself, but they won't let me.
Well, it's a very exclusive club.
Yeah.
And there's two already on the show today, so no, not today, Glenn.
Oh, okay, not today. It's never my day. All right. So anyway, Kelly, you've been involved in revenue management for a lot of years. You were also a former SVP of revenue management at MGM, so you've worked both in the casino world and I guess the hospitality universe as well. And I know what you listeners are out there thinking, aren't they the same thing? Well, the casino business seems to still be siloed from the hotel business. It's the strangest thing.
It is.
You all do the same things except for that casino gaming floor, but everybody thinks it's two completely different universes out there.
Yeah, that's
right?
fair. Yep, that's fair. No, that was what was interesting when I went to Vegas. I was there for about 2 years.
Right.
But, what inspired me was, okay, casinos really do think they're unique. How unique is this problem? Like, is this really so different? And what we realized through the exploration at MGM is the casino industry in Las Vegas in particular, it's not necessarily a unique problem. They just have every problem of every hotel. They have group, they have leisure business, they've got business with the OTAs, on and on, plus this casino thing, and they have it at scale. So it does make the revenue management problem challenging.
Magnifies
it.
It
does, yes. It makes it acute. So with scale, with scale, that means even a little problem that a 300-room hotel could maybe just ignore or manually work around because it only impacts two rooms every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, when you have 3,000 rooms, that is multiplied by 102, and so these small problems turn into big problems.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of fun if you love data and analytics and revenue management, and I mean,
so
really jazz
what
right
gets
up.
you all excited about data and analytics and revenue management? Why is that your passion?
Well, let's be honest. I'm kind of a geek.
Okay,
I mean,
cool. Yeah.
So
Thanks for your honesty.
There's a lot of us at the show here
Right.
this year, so that's
we're
great.
with our people this week, right? So
Yeah, I'm more of a nerd, but
it's again, we'll get you. You can apply to the Geek Club. We may we
cool.
have some openings, some availability.
I actually had some guys from the Geek Squad over the other day putting up a TV that I got, and they were like, "No, you are not worthy."
Really
sad.
good. Really? Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I listen. What really gets me jazzed up about data and analytics, and particularly in revenue management, is you can just really see the power that stands behind data-driven decision making, and when you look at the numbers and you gain those insights to drive the business. But and there's a ton of really complex math behind the revenue management problem. But what I really love about it is that it's so closely tied to the operations and to consumer behavior that it gets really messy. I mean, you build this perfect, beautiful algorithm, and you have this optimal price, and you put it in front of the customer, and then they're like, no thanks. So without understanding how the consumers will react and the impact of your pricing policies on operations, you can't really effectively revenue manage a hotel. And I just love that intersection.
But I think also, Kelly, that is where data science can bring just a new frontier of understanding what is available out there without the limits of just the typical APIs of what is allowed to communicate between systems. But to just go behind that a little bit, to take a step back, how would you define data science and the components of it, artificial intelligence, machine learning?
Yeah, this is a really, I'm glad you asked that question, because if to my mind, and this is part of the evangelizing we do, you have to break things down into understandable business language, make sure we all know what we're talking about. And so when I think about, in particular, some of the new stuff, artificial intelligence, machine learning, it's kind of important to understand is artificial intelligence, that word, that term, it's really a concept. It's this idea of computers, machines replicating human behavior. They learn to see, they learn to hear, they learn to think, they learn to move and react. But that's sort of conceptual. And when you talk about machine learning, that's where it starts to get real.
Right.
You code up a machine learning algorithm, and that's sort of the mechanism that by which we achieve some of this vision of replicating, the human behavior, human intelligence. Machine learning's been around for a while. And these concepts and algorithms have been around and leveraged in a certain way. But to your point, and now I'm realizing I'm pointing at her, and this is a podcast, and so that's
all right. That's all right.
To your point, Estella,
yeah.
what is actually enabling us to have this conversation today is that advances in technology processing power are actually allowing us to use these algorithms in a meaningful way to look at these vast and complex data
exactly
sets.
Because storage is cheap. It's a lot cheaper than it was when we started deciding what data we stored, and after how many days did we not keep it anymore. And now we're able to just have vast amount of information. And then again, sometimes we are constrained in those modeling decisions, time series, or however it is that you're looking into implementing the algorithms. You're limited by what one system can talk to another. So I think that's an exciting frontier. What should we expect from that?
Yeah, so I think the other thing I think that's important to understand about machine learning, we're starting to get into silver bullet territory here, right? Where we've got all these complicated problems, and now we have machine learning, and it'll solve everything. And we can do a lot more today with machine learning than we ever could before. But it really is best for those problems that there's large volumes of data, it's messy, it's complex. It requires a lot of, and machine learning can kind of delve into these messy, complex data sets and find patterns that just aren't necessarily visible to the human eye.
Right.
But the other important thing we have to remember about machine learning is that it's in the name, learning. These algorithms they're designed to really basically teach the computer to learn to solve a problem. And they're really best suited in a lot of cases when the cost of failure is not high.
Right.
Because they have to get things wrong in order to understand what's right. So image recognition and recommendation engines, you don't need that single optimal answer out of that. It's okay if you get an 85% success rate. In fact, that's way better than nothing that we had before. Literally, right?
Hey, Glenn here. Are you overwhelmed by the digital marketing landscape, or maybe you're underwhelmed by your current digital marketing agency? Well, G-Commerce's well-thought-out marketing campaigns draw their strength from the synergy of multiple disciplines working in concert and guided by an overlying strategy to drive new customer acquisition at the absolute lowest cost. They pride themselves on seamless customer service that makes you feel like you're part of the team, facing challenges and celebrating successes together. Your business is unique, and your marketing should be too. Contact them today for a free assessment of your digital marketing health and how they can help you improve. Visit gcommercesolutions.com to claim your assessment. But more importantly, guys, listen, this is Glenn speaking to you right from the heart. These guys helped create my NoVacancyNews.com website. It is amazing, it is awesome, and it helped transform my life. They helped kickstart my business, and they can help you too. So visit gcommercesolutions.com and claim that assessment. Hey, and tell them Glenn sent you.
Yeah.
All right, so hotel owners, they're focused on a lot of different issues and may not fully understand all of this kind of stuff. It just sounds a lot of like, it sounds like a lot of the teachers in the Peanuts cartoons.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So why should a hotel owner care about that, and what is it really going to do in in a way that makes a difference, because everyone's been talking about collecting all this data for decades and nobody seems to be able to turn it into something that's really practical.
Yeah.
I understand that it's different, but how is this different, and how are hoteliers really going to be able to benefit and make more money while making guests happier?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question, because there's complex math. There's been a lot of hype and a lot of conversation. I think where I see some of the really exciting applications of machine learning, and probably in a couple of different areas. Again, when we look at sort of tying a lot of different and complex data sources together, I think we have a real opportunity in personalization. That's another buzzword, right? But really to understand in real time, or in a more agile way, what guests are looking for, put the right products in front of them, make it easier to do business with you, because the algorithms are sort of watching the behavior, matching it to similar behavior they've seen in the past, and putting what is relevant to you in front of you. So when I think about the intersection of, or how are we going to make money and make guests happy, that's the perfect example.
Right.
Like I was saying before, I can come up with, in a revenue management algorithm, a beautiful optimal price. But if the guest can't find it and they can't buy it, then what's the point?
Correct.
And so to me, what's exciting here is now we have this ability to say, okay, I'm going to feed these prices into the website or wherever it is. But how can we use some of these new algorithms to surface that price in a meaningful way to the guest and really encourage them to convert? And how are we packaging it, and how are we pulling all that together?
Right. I think it's clear, we need to make clear that it's not the lowest price, it's the most appropriate price for the particular person at a particular time.
That is, you're speaking my language. I'm going to, I think I'm going to issue that invitation to the Geek Club right now. Yeah. That 100%, right?
Thank you. I need a sponsor. I appreciate it.
That, to me, this is the key to the whole thing. What we want to be able to do is turn guests away from this deal-seeking behavior, which effectively commoditizes the industry,
right.
And really, and have the courage to say, I'm going to show you the right product, and let's trust the guest to say, this is attractive to me, this package, this product, enough that it has value and I'll buy it. And it isn't about, by the way, customer-centric pricing. I've priced Estella, Glenn, Kelly different from each other. It's about the right product for me, and if you were looking for the same product I was, we would be paying the same price. But packaging all those elements together in a way that is encouraging the guest to buy it, and not just sorting by highest to lowest or lowest to highest.
Yes,
Personal
because
pet peeve. See, you put me on my soapbox. Sorry.
those are options that I've seen way too often. So help me understand, how could a hotel move from this just descriptive, again, start with understanding the data by placing some algorithm that gives you relevant information, to that, again, from the descriptive to the prescriptive, to even if we're looking for something of the same value and should pay the same price, how can hotels understand how to move from one to the other?
Yeah, so and again, $1 million question. In my mind, you do have to think of it as a journey, and you have to start small, and you have to grow from there. So it is about, let's use what we have today. Maybe it is only descriptive for now, but we're gaining insights and we're learning patterns, and then find a smaller problem where you can start to add more of this, predictive or prescriptive analytics in, and bite that off and get excited about it and drive a little bit of value and do it quickly and iterate to the next thing. But I think it does come down to really, you get to look at what you have available today, look at where the low-hanging fruit is, because your first foray into this really should be something that you can evangelize about, right? That you can ring the bell and say, we really did something here. And a lot of it really, I think, you can get some high impact and just some basic understanding of your guests and your guest behavior. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be every little detail.
So talking about guest behavior, then I want to take it to the next level, which I know you absolutely can do with the technology in place. Instead of looking for the right price for the right guest, that's kind of, that everyone pays the same thing. Can't you look at it from like, this guest is more valuable on my property because they spend more in the spa, the restaurant, on the golf course, or whatever it might be, or on the casino floor, whatever that might be, compared to another guest, and be able to create opportunities based on more of those individual characteristics?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I mean, this is about, however you want to define it, really understanding your most profitable guest your most profitable mix of guests for the building when the building performs the best. And so you have to have some kind of understanding of how certain guests, certain segments behave when they're in the building. What do they spend on? What products and services do they find valuable? What will they pay for? And sort of guide your overall strategy that way. And then price can become a lever that discriminates or attracts certain guests or turns others away, or promotions, or however you want to structure your loyalty program or your reward system. But I think we need to remember that you can do a lot at the segment level before you even have to really get some kind of robust calculation on Kelly's individual value. And so I think we get to a place when we talk about calculating guest value where we get to analysis paralysis, and we say, well, I don't have enough data to know why Kelly is different than Glenn and what her value is, and so I what can I do? Well, do you have geographical segmentation of your guests? Do you have origin segmentation, these broader strokes levels, and can you do something with that? If you're in a resort and it's winter, send a promotion to the Northeast. I bet that would be, and you don't have to know who on the other end and what their value is. You just know there's a certain behavior that you're trying to attract at that time.
And the information that you get back from it, again, just analyzing back that information to even finding out, do I have the correct segmentation? Is there a segmentation that I had not detected, even if it's not the one-to-one? Yeah. So would you say that is a place for hotels to start, or where would you say it's a good place for a hotel to start?
So I like the idea of starting with looking at your guests and segmenting your guests, because again, you get to that goal of attracting the right mix of business to the hotel. And this is an area where it is so specific to the hotel that you get tools, you do the analysis, you look at your own data yourself. There is always, so yeah, I think that's a good place to start if you're really looking to sort of drive value with predictive analytics internally, because other areas of the hotel, when we think about pricing or revenue management, there are so many commercially available products today.
Yes.
You don't want to build your own pricing engine,
right?
When you've got expertise in the field that have spent decades trying to solve the problem. So my advice to hotels is start with something that maybe there isn't that. It's either so specific to your property or your brand, or there isn't that solution out there that you can acquire that'll kind of automate that process for you. So to me, the guest segmentation is a good place to start.
So you talk about analysis paralysis and not having enough data. What about conversely, when you have too much? How do you recognize what's good data, what's bad data, and do you even have to do it at all? Maybe the machines just do it for you.
Well, there is that aspect, right?
Yeah.
That there are algorithms that can help you sort through data and figure out what relationships are statistically significant or not. But you did hit on something really important there, and that is, it is so exciting now that we have access to so much data, and it's so easy to get overeager and just start collecting a bunch of stuff and throwing it all.
Right. Yes.
But it does really start with, we have to be disciplined, and we have to have a data strategy. We have to have a data management strategy. We have to have methodologies for how we store the data. We have to have good, clear definitions of what the data means, because there's so much of it now. You got to get organized ahead of time. It's just it's like the shoes in my closet. There's enough of them in there. I have to have a system, or it's just chaos.
Do you use a card catalog for that?
Yeah, it's I've got a color and use sortage. It's a whole and then you go. It's digitized now.
The Shui decimal system.
That's right. It is 2019 after all. It is. It is. And I have an optimization algorithm to figure out the ideal.
I do want to apologize for anybody that was too young to understand my reference there.
Yeah, that's right. I think we all dated ourselves and we laughed at that joke.
A little 1980s library humor there for you people.
I love it. Yeah, but that is really it's a key point and a key concept you bring up here, Glenn, because the when you start to deal with this kind of volume, you do have to be organized and you do have to be strategic. And we find companies today, it's very typical, we kind of got excited and started charging down a path only to realize that they didn't have the discipline to go back and say, look, let's catalog the data, let's define the data, let's create dictionaries, let's talk about who's allowed to access when, who updates it, what's the single source of truth. And then you just end up in the situation where everybody shows up to the meeting with a different report, pulled at a different time with different numbers, and we spend the whole time fighting over what should be the right answer instead of building a strategy. So
and also that communication for the goals. Again, if you have a data strategy, and then what is your revenue strategy, and what is your operation strategy, and then having those common goals that will drive, I think, being impatient for revenue, even if you're patient for profit, but being impatient for revenue on some of these results on the business side, and bringing those key stakeholders together to decide on those strategies. What do you think,
100%.
Kelly?
No, I love that. I think you, emphatic agreement. Why should I repeat what you just said so eloquently? But yeah, I think it's important. It's hard, right? It's hard to have that discipline and that patience. But it pays off. It pays off in spades, because then any kind of analytics strategy, any kind of visualization strategy, project, just it can flow, from there, and you have everyone on the same page, and then you get to have those really deep, meaningful conversations about strategies that move the business forward and do drive profits instead of arguing over who's right.
Right.
All right, so we've talked all about all these different theories and stuff like that, but what if I'm a hotelier that just wants to get started? What are those first initial steps I might take to be able to make decisions more intelligently?
Yeah, so I obviously you at company, you got to prioritize where you would think that opportunity is. But I always like to say, really the easiest way to get started today, to really start building that culture internally, to help start finding the opportunities, is to start simple. Get yourself out of Excel and into a visualization platform. So think about, whether it's Tableau or Power BI, there's a lot of those tools out there. They're really easy to pick up. They're not that expensive, but they do enable you to see your data in a very dynamic and very visual way. And it is amazing how that changes the conversation. I always, I tell my team when they bring these reams of Excel spreadsheet reports to the meeting and they start talking number, I'm like, guys, you look at this spreadsheet all day, every day. The people in this room see it once every 2 weeks. I guarantee you they don't know which number you're talking about now. So, we did that in my business, kind of made that flip from Excel to these visualization tools, and suddenly light bulbs are going off all around the room, light bulbs are going on all around the room, because they're starting to see the relationships clearly. You're honed in on the information that's important. And then, people start to want more, and you can start to get more complex, or maybe you bring in a revenue management system that has some analytics behind it, and, people are used to looking at their data in a different way, thinking about it in a different way, so the change is a little bit easier. They start to trust the machine a little bit more. When you started with something as simple as, it's our data, but we're going to look at it's going to be pretty, and it's going to draw attention to, and we can interrogate it and query it in a different way.
And it's relevant to the audience.
Yes.
Because I think part of it is there is the human intelligence that is creating the reams of Excel to go into that meeting, but then if you bring in that virtual visualization tool on top of it, then it creates the relevance for that meeting, or that buy-in, or that whatever it is that you're honestly pitching.
That's exactly, because isn't that always the goal? It should be. You go into a meeting, you're obviously trying to sell something, sell your idea, sell buy-in, sell it, go forward. So you're 100% correct. Again.
Excellent. This has been a great conversation.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts that you have on anything that we might have missed? I think that we've been pretty good at.
We did a good job,
right?
I think.
We
yeah,
did.
But
you did a great job. I half-assed it.
Okay. Did you phone it in today? Well, as I'm looking in the bay. I just, if I had to sum this up, I think I would say, don't wait. Don't wait for perfect. Don't wait for ideal. Don't wait for a big announcement that the perfect machine learning. We've got the artificial intelligence to replicate and hone and solve all the problems of the world in the silver bullet. We can't wait around for perfect, and we can't wait around for the future to be today. So pick up something and get started.
So
Don't be afraid.
It's the same thing as any other piece of technology. You buy it, and then the new thing comes out 2 weeks later. Don't kick yourself in the ass about it.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I like his summary better. That's why they pay the big bucks, I assume, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Huge. Stella, any final thoughts?
No, I completely agree. I think it is very encouraging. I think you described very much the status of a lot of our listeners. And so I, like you, encourage them to look at things from the perspective of how can I present this incredibly relevant information, but now make it relevant to my audience and not just myself as I read through it and know that it's important every day.
All right, Kelly, you did a great job today. So you have earned the right for a shameless plug. How can people find you?
Okay, very good. Well, so you can certainly find me on LinkedIn. I have here is the shameless self-promotion. I've authored 2 books, one on revenue management specifically and kind of the modern practice called Hotel Pricing in a Social World. The other book is on analytics and all the possibilities for hotels to apply it in different departments. That's called the Analytic Hospitality Executive.
Wow.
And so both of those are available on Amazon. And there's a Kindle version if you're a Kindle reader.
That's
perfect.
Nice.
So please go. I expect sales to spike.
Yes, they should.
I mean,
they
exponentially.
Should. And I'm in my 10th year of talking about writing a book, so
Nice.
that's exciting for me too. Any final thoughts for you, Estella?
No, just thank you so much, Kelly. This was so informative. And again, I think it is one of the topics that everyone truly wants to embrace, but it is just a little bit harder, scary to know how. And I think you just gave great examples for people how to make what they have today relevant and just bring it to the eyes of other people that will see it in that different light. So thank you.
Oh, it was my pleasure. It's so fun to talk about this stuff. So we'll continue the conversation here and in boardrooms and everywhere,
Yes.
right?
And drinks afterwards
I
without
love
the
that.
mic.
Yeah, mhm.
Kelly, love your passion. This was a lot of fun talking with you today. I feel like we could talk for hours more, but we can't. I'm sorry, but I do want to. I do want to thank everybody for listening today, and you can find this show plus all past shows, of course, on SHR's website. That's shr.global, and on novacancynews.com, and in our podcast feed for No Vacancy on Apple Podcasts, on Google Play, and wherever you can find finer podcasts, and a place where you can find not so great podcasts too. And if you want to get on our weekly mailing list, just text the word hotel to 66866. That's the word hotel to 66866. So for Kelly, Estelle, and myself, I want to thank you all for tuning in to the Hotel Tech Podcast, and we'll see you next time.